As the second season of Tulsa King came to an end, it seemed as though Dwight, Sylvester Stallone, and the family would have a happy, conclusive finale. The season focused on Dwight's conflicts with New York, Bill Bevilacqua, played by Frank Grillo, and Cal Thresher, played by Neil McDonough. It seemed that Dwight had prevailed until the climactic scene, which hinted at a third season in which he might be exploring the underworld further, just when he believed he was done. What does this mean for Dwight and the family going forward, and how do we get here? Hey everyone, hope you're having a good day. Before going to the main topic, I want to say like this video and subscribe to the channel. Tulsa King's finale begins with Dwight and Thresher talking about how their businesses may advance after dealing with Ming, Rich Ting, in the previous episode with the assistance of Bill and Armand, Max Casella. Thresher hopes to replace Ming as his partner with Dwight. But in typical mafia form, Dwight presents Thresher with an irresistible offer. Bigfoot, cash flow, will blow his brains out unless Thresher abandons the underground to the criminals. It's a really simple sequence, which is almost remarkable considering how easily Thresher relinquishes control of the company, claiming that he had grown tired of this enterprise anyhow. With his head held high, he leaves, but given what transpires in the episode's last scene and his strong political ties, as demonstrated by his relationship with the Attorney General earlier in the season, it's difficult to believe he had nothing to do with Dwight's kidnapping. With his rejection of Bevilacqua's offer to split the Tulsa company 50-50 and Chicky, Dominic Lombardozzi, traveling to Tulsa on New York's orders to either bring Dwight back into the fold or never return, it first looks as though Dwight will be preparing for another war in the near future. Chicky offers to work with Dwight to bring him down when he rejects the two, and Chicky actually seems enlightened, as Dwight describes it, as he seems more composed and strategic in his strategy. Dwight has the chance to license the Tulsa model to other underserved, rural areas like Idaho and Nebraska thanks to Chicky and Bevilacqua. Chicky attempts to exert influence over Bevilacqua by negotiating on his behalf and presents this as an equal agreement for all three. Bevilacqua, who had previously stated that Chicky's strength was not as strong as Chicky thought, seems to find this too much and shoots Chicky in the head. Whether or not Dwight knew Bevilacqua would kill Chicky is left out in the air when he and Bevilacqua agree on a 50-50 divide and Dwight says, "You earned it." Bevilacqua acknowledged that they had spoken over the phone, but it's unclear if Dwight was surprised or not, which makes the underworld a confusing place where even the audience is occasionally kept in the dark. At first glance, the Tulsa King Season 2 finale seems to be coming to a definitive end. An almost impossible happy ending is turned upside down in the final scene. Mitch, Garrett Hedlund, owns the car dealership, Bodie's, Martin Starr, cannabis business is looking at almost 100% profit, and Dwight claims they have gone legitimate, with everyone in the family receiving a cut of all the businesses. Dwight is abducted by Black Ops soldiers who storm into the room when he and Margaret, Dana Delaney, are sleeping soundly in bed. Initially, we believe Dwight was arrested once more following a scene in which police were informed that DC was requesting all of their possessions on Manfredi. However, the first indication that this is not a routine arrest is the bag over Dwight's head and the fact that Dwight is restrained with zip ties rather than handcuffs. Bright lights shine in his face as he is led down what appears to be a warehouse and seated at an interrogation table. When Dwight asks the figure who they are, we don't see them, and their response is completely unclear. "You work for us now." We can assume that Dwight's road to peace and legitimacy has been blocked, even though we don't know who kidnapped him or what their intentions are. Tatiana Zappardino, who plays Tina, Dwight's daughter, told Radio Times that all the sets are held. Although Season 3 has not yet been confirmed, this suggests that we will likely learn more about Dwight's captors and the new level of corruption he has fallen into. The Tulsa King Season 2 finale is an epilogue rather than a conclusion. Reconstruction. The 10th episode of Season 2 lacks much of the impact that viewers anticipate from television season finales. Rather, the Paramount Plus program seamlessly transitions between locations, summarizing its multiple plot lines, and mostly depends on a cliffhanger to entice viewers to return for a possible Season 3. While one character dies in the episode, Reconstruction is a slow finale to a season that began just as quietly, losing the momentum that was built in between. It follows Dwight Manfredi and his crew as they plan for their future, both personally and professionally, and the characters who were once major threats to that future largely disappear. Episode 10 is essentially inert due to Tulsa King's decision to kill off Jackie Ming in Season 2, Episode 9, Triad. Cal Thresher, Ming's former business partner and once portrayed as Dwight's sly, crafty rival in both business and romance, literally walks away after a negotiation with Dwight about his marijuana farm that lacks any real tension. Bill Bevilacqua, Season 2's other main antagonist, does better because he helps tie up the show's biggest loose end, but he too just settles with Dwight and leaves the bread $2. Chicky appears, but he just does the yelling he always does. The second season began slowly because Season 2, Episode 1, Back in the Saddle, consisted of just 42 minutes of Dwight's brilliance. The same issue arises in Reconstruction, where Dwight and his team repeatedly get what they want after he tells Thresher he's taking over the business. Remember that this was someone who was established as a very powerful businessman in Tulsa. Elsewhere, Mitch formally signs the paperwork to take over Donnie Shore's car dealership. Armand regains his job at Fenario Ranch after another brief conversation, and Ahanu strikes a partnership with Dwight. It seems as though the season ended with Episode 9, and the writers are using Episode 10 to look ahead to Tulsa King Season 3, including said cliffhanger. Season finales are supposed to be some of the biggest episodes in a TV show, in which everything comes to a head and characters have great development. However, until the cliffhanger ending, in which Dwight is taken out of bed and into custody by masked men, there is never a serious threat to his safety or his businesses. The most significant event in Tulsa King Season 2, Episode 10 is Chicky's death, but it's a brief scene that the audience probably anticipated. Not only had Chicky been out of the show with his New York crew for a while, but he had also stopped contributing to it. Reconstruction is an example of this. He simply shows up and yells and complains once more. Chicky tries to win Bill over, but when they arrive at the bread $2, Bill casually shoots Chicky in the side of the head. Dwight then tells Bill that he earned his 50%. The only positive aspect of this is that it's Tulsa King getting rid of a plotline that doesn't need to be there. Chicky's death in the middle of a conversation is shocking from a visual standpoint, but it doesn't have the same impact on the audience as it could because it's random. He doesn't die after attempting to kill Dwight or after one final, big confrontation. The two argue in the higher plane back office, but that's just more of the same old song. Moreover, Chicky never really developed as a character, so there was no reason to care about his fate. His passing does raise the question of whether Season 3 will include New York at all, or if the writers decide to rework the show to concentrate only on Tulsa now that Vince is in charge and appears to be at peace with Dwight. The latter would be more efficient, but it would require some changes and probably remove actor Vincent Piazza, who plays Vince, from the main cast. In the last moments of Tulsa King Season 2, Dwight is seen in handcuffs and being led into an unidentified facility by two black men who ominously tell him, "You work for us now." The only clue as to who they are comes from a brief scene where an FBI agent informs the audience and the Bureau that Washington has asked for all of their information on Dwight Manfredi. It would have been better to set up this idea because if the FBI is the one who arrested Dwight, what does that plotline offer that viewers didn't get at the end of Season 1? He's going to have more problems with the federal government, just a different agency. The rest of Dwight's crew doesn't really grow as characters. Tyson Mitchell's storyline about turning into a real gangster seems to have ended in Episode 9 because he doesn't play a part in Episode 10. Tina Manfredi doesn't show up at all because she was sent back to New York, and Joe and Manfredi's business ideas for Higher Plane aren't very convincing, and Goody mostly sits on the sidelines. Garrett Hedlund has a humorous scene where Mitch unveils his first commercial for the car dealership, but the laughs don't make up for the relative lack of action, and Dwight's speech to the entire assembled crew near the end of the episode feels almost like an explanation to the audience about the series' current state. There is nothing wrong with Dwight ending the season on a high note. After all, the previous season didn't end well for him, so it's a fair change of pace. However, there is a lot more that could have been done with the episode, including more conflict, more action, and even some emotion. For instance, what if Dwight had called his daughter to check on her and remind the audience that this victory came at the expense of that relationship? Tulsa King Season 2, Episode 10 is more of a postscript to Tulsa King. Sylvester Stallone's gangster series wrapped up its second season on Sunday. Will Season 3 air on Paramount+? In Tulsa King, Stallone plays Dwight, the General Manfredi, an ex-convict and mob capo who is told by his masters to go from New York City to Tulsa, Oklahoma, in order to establish a new business. After Dwight and FBI agent Stacy Beale, Andrea Savage, fall in love in Season 1, the feds set him up and bust him, and Season 2 opens with a courtroom trial. Dwight is cleared of all charges in the second season of Tulsa King, but he still has to deal with Cal Thresher, Neil McDonough, an oil baron and marijuana tycoon, and his mafia partner Jackie Ming, Rich Ting, as well as Bill Bevilacqua, Frank Grillo, the leader of the Kansas City mob. Furthermore, Charles Chicky Invernizzi, Dominic Lombardozzi, Dwight's former mob boss, is putting pressure on him to bring the capo back into the fold through his ally Vince Antonacci, Vincent Piazza. Tulsa King Season 2 ends in a cliffhanger, much like the first season of the Taylor Sheridan series. Will Season 3 be released because of the unresolved issue? Sylvester Stallone's character Dwight Manfredi appears to have the most of his issues resolved in the Tulsa King Season 2 finale. In Episode 10, Dwight is forced to drive Cal Thresher out of the marijuana business Cal was operating with Ming, and the oil baron is forced to accept earning his money only from oil. In Episode 9, Jackie Ming paid the ultimate pay for trying to assassinate Dwight earlier in the season. Furthermore, Dwight objects to the idea because he saved Bill and Cal from Ming, but Bill Bevilacqua still feels he should have a half share in Dwight's Tulsa company. Naturally, Bill is not happy with Dwight, and it appears that he will be working with Chicky Invernizzi to force the Tulsa King out of business. It is shocking to learn that Bill executes Chicky in front of Dwight because Dwight feels that Bill deserves the 50% cut he was requesting. Dwight had been under surveillance by the federal government all along, and in the last scene of Episode 10, he is captured by a masked group and placed in a hood. After being transported to a covert facility, one of the group members informs him that he is now employed by the federal government. Even though Tulsa King Season 3 hasn't been officially confirmed, the Rocky movie hero gives the impression in an interview with USA Today that it will happen. In essence, the individuals who abduct him in the Season 2 finale are secret government agents who wish to use Dwight as an informant, Stallone told USA Today. "I'm not going to snitch, but if I have to do some deeds to people that deserve it, I'm going to," Stallone stated to USA Today. "That's how I rationalize it." The Shadow organization does, of course, have an uncast leader, but Stallone hinted that he already had someone in mind. Stallone told USA Today, "I have a dream casting in mind, and it has to be an important actor, someone we haven't seen in a while. When I call, he will be taken aback and may refuse." In the USA Today interview, Stallone also hinted that Dwight's dominion will grow to include additional states in Season 3, a concept that was explored in the Season 2 finale. Regarding his plans for his character in the yet-to-be-announced Tulsa King Season 3, Stallone told USA Today, "I'm going to take him on a journey that he's never expecting. The main thing is to keep the fish out of water situation going, because it nearly becomes a sitcom once Manfredi settles into a scenario. Dwight, the General Manfredi, Sylvester Stallone, wins again, just as he did in the first season of Tulsa King. Following a fierce battle with Salin Waltrip, Richie Coster, in the first season, Dwight won, and he did it again this time. By the time the credits rolled on the show's Season 2 finale, Dwight had driven Cal Thresher, Neil McDonough, out of the marijuana business and, with the assistance of another competitor, evicted Charles Chicky Invernizzi, Dominic Lombardozzi, from this specific chess table. Is it all sunshine and roses? No. Dwight may have once again drawn the attention of the law. In a recent interview with USA Today, Stallone, who both stars in and executive produces the series, confirmed that although Manfredi may have been hesitant to move to Tulsa in the first place, he definitely feels at home now. It's a bittersweet situation, Stallone tells the outlet of his character. "I've spent all my life in New York, and now I'm moving on to an entirely new existence. These strong Oklahoma roots are what have most infuriated Dwight's enemies in Season 2, and Stallone hinted that the Manfredi crime family will likely grow with the money stream from Mitch Keller's, Garrett Hedlund, Mitch Keller's Car City dealership. You have to be pretty tough," Stallone says. Keller is going to grow a great deal next season. In Season 2, Dwight had to contend with the heavy heat from Kansas City boss Bill Bevilacqua, Frank Grillo, in addition to the pressure from Chicky from New York and Thresher from Tulsa. Even though Dwight and Bill obviously hated each other, they appeared to despise Chicky more, which led to the KC boss killing off the deposed New York head in the end. The arrangement that grants Bill half of Dwight's empire is surprising and obviously precarious. I know Bevilacqua's greediness, and for him to take out Chicky means nothing. He's a psychopath, states Stallone. As we go into Season 3, Manfredi and Bevilacqua are now business partners. I don't know if I could have whacked Chicky, yet this is not a marriage that's going to last long. The Manfredi crime family is growing quickly, and Season 2's events set it up for much more growth. Chicky did have a brilliant plan before he was shot in the head, referring to starting new businesses in unexplored areas like Iowa, Nebraska, and Arkansas. Going forward, Manfredi and Bevilacqua will continue to use this idea, according to Stallone. Manfredi is no stranger to run-ins with the law, defeating one attempt to take him down in Season 2 before being taken up by a tactical squad with spotlights and firearms and an ominous government voice telling him, after he was in a dark room, "You work for us now." When Stallone teases, "I'm not going to snitch, but if I have to do some deeds to people that deserve it, I'm going to. That's how I rationalize it." Dwight looks to act similarly, and this feels very different. Cal Thresher, Neil McDonough, leads Dwight, Sylvester Stallone, through his enormous weed field at the start of Tulsa King Season 2, Episode 10, the season finale. Dwight wants the entire cannabis farm in exchange for Cal helping him sort out Jackie Ming, Rich Ting. Cal accepts after being reminded that gangster life is obviously not for him. Dwight warns Tyson J. Will, as they depart the weed farm, that they must cease leaving a trail of dead everywhere they go. Is Dwight going to reconcile with all of his adversaries? Here are some additional events from Reconstruction, Episode 10 of Tulsa King Season 2. Since he has nowhere else to go, Manny, Max Casella, returns to the ranch. He expresses regret to Spencer, Scarlett Rose Stallone, and Margaret, Dana Delaney, requesting another chance since he wants to reunite with his family. Margaret offers Manny his job back, but that he attend AA. Vince, played by Vincent Piazza, contacts Dwight in New York to inform him that he is now the family's leader. Additionally, he informs Dwight that Chicky, Dominic Lombardozzi, is en route to Tulsa and gives him a deadline. He must persuade Dwight to give them money. Chicky is not permitted to return to New York if he doesn't. Dwight hangs up on Vince when he says he hopes they can collaborate in the future. Dwight is asked by Bill Bevilacqua, played by Frank Grillo, what he will receive for helping to kill Jackie's group and for telling Jackie about it. A quarter of Cal's business is offered by Dwight. Bill, however, wants 50%. Dwight is unyielding. As Dwight leaves, Bill threatens him, claiming that he was there before him and will return later. After wandering into even higher plane, Chicky insists on talking to Dwight. He even ejects Bodie, Martin Starr, from his office and threatens Fred, Justin Garcia Prunetta, and Grace, McKenna Quigley Harrington. Chicky claims that Dwight is there peacefully when he enters in a rage. Chicky tells Dwight that he belongs in New York, not Tulsa, after being pleased by what he has created. Chicky holds his father responsible for Dwight's relocation there. Chicky wants Dwight to take Vince out when he returns to New York. They can then work together to manage New York. According to Dwight, Tulsa is where his life belongs. He goes on to say that he is aware that Chicky killed his dad. Chicky is told to leave by Dwight. Chicky declares as he leaves that he is not leaving, just as he is not traveling to New York without Dwight. After that, Chicky goes to see Bill and promises to return what is properly his. Chicky claims over a drink that Dwight is the cause of both his and Bill's issues. Chicky informs Bill that because they haven't restrained Dwight's greed, they both appear weak. Dwight needs Chicky's assistance, so he can hit him. Dwight and Goody, Chris Caldovino, are waiting for Chicky and Bill when they return to the casino. Chicky wants to bring to Iowa, Nebraska, and Arkansas what Dwight did in Tulsa. Dwight is concerned that the three of them will collaborate. Chicky interrupts Dwight when he asks Bill what he thinks of it, telling him not to worry about him. Chicky is then shot in the head by Bill. He requests 50% of Cal's business from Dwight once more. Dwight concurs, claiming he merited it. Garrett Hedlund's character Mitch has finished buying Donnie's car dealership. He, Fred, and Grace are now discussing strategies for advertising the vehicle dealership. For Mitch Keller's Car City, Grace creates Mitch's commercial. To watch the commercial, the group gets together. Dwight then makes a statement in which he expresses his happiness at seeing the gang so content. He claims that they will no longer need to watch over their shoulders because they are all now engaged in legitimate companies. Additionally, he claims that they will receive a fair portion of all the firms. However, given that the FBI inexplicably seeks Dwight's files, Dwight might be mistaken about that. Margaret and Dwight go to bed at 3 a.m. unexpectedly. A number of black-clad men with firearms kick in the door. They led Dwight outside, covered his head with a hood, and loaded him into a van. A shadowy figure leads Dwight into a room and says, "You work for us now." Sylvester Stallone's first significant scripted television production is the Paramount Plus original series Tulsa King. Scarlett Rose Stallone, Stallone's actual daughter, plays Spencer in Tulsa King as well. In Tulsa King, Spencer makes her debut as a waitress who becomes entangled with Dwight, the General Manfredi, the protagonist, after telling him about a white home that is about to be put to death. Dwight employs Spencer to take care of the horse after deciding to adopt it. In the larger plot of Tulsa King, Dwight's transformation from a struggling gangster just out of jail to an aspirant kingpin in his own right is depicted. Dwight's ascent to popularity, however, ends up endangering his boss's goals and putting him at odds with them because they sent him to Tulsa to keep him out of the way. Scarlett Rose Stallone's character, Spencer, begins her career as a barista. She meets Dwight Manfredi, and in Stable, episode 6, she tells him that Pilot, a white horse that Dwight has come to love, is about to be put down. After that, Dwight chooses to purchase the horse outright and appoints Spencer to look after Pilot. As a result, Spencer is firmly placed in Dwight's circle and reappears frequently throughout the series. She gets more involved in Dwight's attempts to maintain his own family as the show goes on. Spencer's role during that period was restricted because the first few episodes of Season 2 dealt with the consequences following Dwight's incarceration at the end of Season 1. But as Tulsa King Season 2 has gone on and Dwight has more spare time, his horse, and thus Spencer, has returned to the forefront. In addition to her part in Tulsa King, Scarlett Rose Stallone has a number of projects in the works. One such film is The Gunslingers, which was helmed by Brian Skiba and starred Costas Mandylor, Nicolas Cage, and Stephen Dorff. The Gunslingers tells the tale of a gunslinger, a quirky genius, and a spiritual leader in the town of Redemption. In addition, Scarlett Rose Stallone made an appearance in the 2023 reality TV series The Family Stallone, a documentary-style feature that follows the whole Stallone family, and had a brief cameo in the 2014 film Reach Me. The reality show's cast consists of Scarlett Rose, her two sisters, Sophia and Sistine Satlone, as well as Sylvester's wife, Jennifer Flavin. Even though Sylvester Stallone is new to television, his long career in the film industry helped him become well-known. His breakthrough performance was as Rocky Balboa in the 1976 motion picture Rocky, which gave rise to a film franchise that is still going strong today. In addition, Sylvester was the star of the Rambo series, which started in 1982 with an adaptation of David Morrell's First Blood. Sylvester Stallone has starred in a number of standalone and franchise films in addition to the Rocky and Rambo films. He worked with other action movie greats like Bruce Willis and Arnold Schwarzenegger on The Expendables, one of his more recent film series. Let us know in your comments. And stay tuned by subscribing our channel to get more updates like this. Thanks everyone.